and see me. So on your handy dandy notebooks, right? I want you to draw what you see up there on the board. I want you to leave about a fourth of your page at the bottom open so that you can write something at the end. So we're going to do this. You notice I have a lot more space over to the right than I do on the left. The left I'm going to write main idea. On the right I'm going to put notes. And down here at the bottom I'm going to put summary. Okay, because I'm going to have about enough space at the bottom to roughly get a paragraph.
Wait, does it need to be that big?
Depends on how big you write for your notes. You'll probably be okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Mesopotamia is what we're going to talk about today. Mesopotamia is the birthplace of civilization. Okay, and we're going to open up discussion by talking about prehistory. Okay, so do you remember last week we talked about prehistory? Prehistory was what? Elliot? Yeah, before it was recorded, right? So during prehistory, we have a particular type of hominids that are walking the earth, right? We know hominids were the early humans. These hominids, we say they were nomadic. What do you think nomadic means? Yeah, they got up in the morning, they had to find food, they had to find shelter, they had to find water, and they had to find protection before the nightfall, right? So they were nomadic. And so they constantly moved. They hadn't mastered farming yet. They were hunters and gatherers. But when they hunted, they followed their food. They didn't domesticate the animals. They're just following the food, and they're just eating what they could find. And then toward the end of the Ice Age, they start to develop cognitive abilities in their brain. Their brains start to develop, and they start to figure things out. They start to understand that, oh, I can eat this plant. I can't eat this plant. They start to see seeds drop, and they understand that seeds grow plants. And then we're going to start, they're going to notice that some animals are more docile or tamer than others. Okay? So on our notes, if I was thinking about the main idea of this slide, what would you think it would be? What is it talking about? Okay. Kind of. Yes, prehistory. Yeah, how about prehistory man, right? Or if you want to put prehistory hominid, if you want to use a big word. Okay. And what are the characteristics of prehistoric man? We know they were what? Okay. There's some suggestion in some areas they might have had more hair for warmth, but that's not on our slide, right? What's some characteristics of prehistoric man? Oh, great, they're nomadic. What else? Hunters, gatherers. Justin, I better see some paper out and I better see a pencil moving. Or you're going to need to leave my classroom. Okay? I refuse to let you grow up to be dumb and let people take advantage of you. Okay? We're here to learn. So they're hunters, gatherers. They're nomadic. Anything else? What? Yeah, they haven't joined together yet, have they? So it's like each for his own. They haven't civilized yet. And they're going to follow their food, right? So then, we start getting toward the end of the Ice Age. They start realizing the things that I said just a minute ago. They start to, we had a fancy word. What was that fancy word that we used when you get really good at this area? You get really good at this area.
Special.
Right. So toward the end of the Ice Age, you're going to start to see them specialize. If they
think it's smarter when we have school today.
Probably not.
We gotta go back to town.
No. Let's go. We're going to start to see men being more the hunters and women being more the gatherers. I know. I would not last very long in the era. I would want to be a hunter. But the men are going to get really good at hunting, and the women are going to get really good at gathering, right? And the women are going to start introducing farming. They're going to be the ones. Oh my goodness. What are they going to start doing? Elliot.
Domesticating animals.
Yes, they're going to start domesticating plants and animals. And now they're not going to have to move so much, are they?
They can't just like, oh, I got.
Yeah, they can say, we'll just tame this animal down. And then we'll just have the animal here. That way we don't have to chase it all over the world. Right now. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly, you're right.
So
Instead of chasing the cows around, they're going to keep them where they're at. So then, as the Ice Age is moving out, man starts specializing. They start domesticating plants and animals. They're forming together, right? They're joining together. And they form what we call a civilization. Elliot?
start writing.
Yes, you're right. So when they start forming together and they form the first civilization, historians and archaeologists say the first civilization that we know of was a civilization we call Sumer. And it was in Mesopotamia, the birthplace of civilizations in the Fertile Crescent. Yes?
Well, then, would they just like start learning how to make fire?
Yeah, they're going to discover that too. So now we're joined together. We have hunters, we have farmers, we have people who are building. We're a civilization. And we have surplus. What's surplus? We have, extra. So you're this great raiser of goats. Okay?
I like goats.
You have mastered raising goats. But the problem is you have so many goats, and you don't want to eat goat every day, right?
I would write them.
Yeah. You would write goats. Ooh, you're 4 goats. Real sorry for it. He has so many goats, and he can't, really use the goats for everything. I mean, he's tired of eating goat every single day. And then he sees Bailey, or he hears about Bailey, who's this expert farmer, okay? But Bailey has so much wheat, there's no way that her family can deal with all that wheat, right? And so Hunter comes up with this idea. What's he gonna do with his goats?
I'm not a trader.
Oh my gosh, he's gonna start trading, right? So the Sumerians begin to trade. But we have a problem with trade. If he takes 20 goats to Bailey's place and she lives over the mountains and 100 miles away, right? Some of his goats might die. Or he might lose control of some of his goats. Hunter, being the wise person that he is, he comes up with a genius idea. He's going to take clay, right, and he's going to form these little shapes with it, and his shapes are going to represent how many goats he has. Okay? Now, Hunter's really smart, and he knows that people could lie about it, right? Anybody could just pick up some clay and form it up and say, this piece of clay represents 10 goats, right? So he's going to go to the Sumerian king, and the king's going to say, I have an idea. We will have my educated boys, all right, Elliot, right? Okay? Our talented, educated boys, because girls weren't allowed to become educated in the Sumerian culture. I know, it's not fair. One day girls are going to take over the world because we now appreciate education because we've never had it all of our history. Okay? And he's going to ask Elliot to carve out a seal. He's going to carve out something in like a stone or wood that we can roll over that coin, that clay coin that Hunter invented, to prove that it is authentic, that the king says Hunter has that many goats. Okay? So, Hunter and the king have now just invented the first money. First money, right? So now instead of taking 20 goats over the mountains, maybe some of them die, maybe lose some of them, he can send one of his servants to Bailey and say, he will trade you, I don't know what, 20 goats for I don't know how many bushels of hay or wheat, right? And if she says yes, they can exchange the coins and then later come back and get your goats, right? But they need a way to keep track of what's going on, okay? And so, Elliot, being the wise king he is, decides we should record what we're doing. We should, that way we can keep track of how many goats are in my empire. That was a vocab word. How much wheat we have. What's the best practices for hunting? What's the best practices for building, for farming? We can record this all, and we can then refer back to it and get better and better. So you had some practice yesterday with some code that I gave you, right? That code was called cuneiform. And the Sumerians invented the first writing. So now they have a way of recording things, paying for things, and working together. Thanks to Elliot, we can all take notes, right? Justin.
What about water?
Huh?
What would it be called for the first because it's water?
The first, well, no one recorded the first drink of water, so we don't know.
No, like, how would they do that? Would they, because they didn't have buckets.
Huh?
They didn't have buckets.
Well, I'm sure that during this prehistory time, they probably picked up some sort of shell sometime and realized it held water, and then they just began to improve on it as they began to get smarter. Okay, so we have the first writing, we have the first money, and Elliot as king says we need to make sure our writing stays good and our records stay good. And Elliot, gotta pick on you here, Elliot.
Yay.
Okay? Elliot decides that for some reason only the boys can learn how to read and write.
Oh.
So the boys become the scribes of the Sumerian culture, and they keep all of the records for the king. So scribes become so important because they're the record keepers. If it wasn't for the scribes, we wouldn't know about the Sumerian culture. There would be nothing there. So, hint, 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 that is probably going to be important. I know, that's what I say. But girls are going to take over the world because we weren't allowed to be educated in history.
That was boys, little girls.
Okay? So, historians call the first writing cuneiform, and like I said, we practiced with it yesterday, some of it. There's a lot more to it than what we had yesterday, but I just wanted you to see what it looked like. Okay? And this slide is really kind of out of order because this talks about when the agricultural revolution hit toward the end of the Ice Age. But we already know, right, that the nomads' specialization, that the first record that we have so far, now we may find something later, but right now, the first artifacts that we found all have come from the Mesopotamian territory. Okay? They've come from the Fertile Crescent, which is between the Tigris and the Euphrates River. Huh? The first civilization where we joined together and became powerful. Okay? And I think somebody told us earlier that the Fertile Crescent, we know they settled there because the land was fertile, right? It was between two rivers. They had transportation, they had water. The rivers would flood, thus making the soil very rich for farming. Okay? So at this point, we know we've talked about two main things today. We've talked about prehistory man, and we've talked about Sumer. Okay? We have a few notes in there. Not complete sentences, just notes and ideas. Here comes your hard task. Take this and put it into a paragraph.
Okay, that's easy.
Okay?
I can do
That's
that.
how you get out of here today. So you work on yours and I'll work on mine. Okay?
Well, we don't take this one right here.
No, you have to have it to get out of here.
What? That's horrible.
Yes. Go ahead. You can show it to me tomorrow. That's your homework. Finish your paragraph.
Faith Murdoch and Tori Bunn, please come to the front.
Oh, you're
Maybe so, I don't know. I'll do that. I got a quick question. A quick question. Which do you think was worse, 9/11 or Typhoon? 9/11. Yes. Well, at least they weren't at the same time. That was it.
There's also another one in there at the bottom.
Wait,
Hey, there's another paper there at the bottom that's a map. You
So
can
how
fill
much?
that out too.
So how much of our population died?
I don't know right now. Let me finish this, okay?
Can I steal it? Thousands. Do I hold on to this? You don't math. Do you have computers?
Okay, so for the paragraph today, I know we ran out of time, but I wrote prehistory man were nomads that followed their food source in the Fertile Crescent between the Tigris and the Euphrates rivers. As the Ice Age came to an end, hominids joined together in a civilization we call Sumer. Here, boys became scribes, record keepers for the kings, and Sumerians developed the first writing and first money.
What?